Hey everyone, welcome back to the Daily Gold Podcast. Today we're chatting with a new guest. He's Andy Swarthout. He's the founder and CEO of Bear Creek Mining. Andy, how are you today?
I'm very good, Jordan. Thank you.
And Andy, as we get started, could you just take us through your history with the company and also the discovery and development of your projects, Corani and Santa Ana?
Sure, Jordan. I have lived and worked in Peru since 1994. Until 2000, I was Vice President of Exploration for Southern Peru Copper. After leaving Southern Peru Copper with the Grupo Mexico takeover of Asarco, I founded Bear Creek as a private company until 2003. And then we listed on the TSXV, raised, I think, initially about $7 million. We are we're an exploration company focused entirely on Peru. We tend to drill 2 to 3 projects a year in exploration, and in 2004, one of our exploration teams discovered the Santa Ana silver project. We made a strong commitment to that project, started drilling it in 2005, drilled approximately 39,000 meters, and it's a grassroots discovery made by our exploration geologists. About the same time, in 2005, we received a submittal from Rio Tinto on the Corani project. Rio Tinto was exploring for a porphyry copper deposit in the Corani district and correctly concluded that it probably didn't exist. However, there was an extremely strong silver signature in the northern part of the district, and they were reaching out to appropriate partners. I had worked for Rio Tinto before I moved to Peru, so we have a strong relationship. Rio Tinto and I were able to reach an agreement. We entered into an option to acquire Corani and eventually completed our commitments, controlling 100% of the project. And we put, much like Santa Ana, we put the very first drill holes into the silver part of the district. Subsequently, over the following 5 years, we drilled approximately 100,000 meters and defined 270 million ounces of silver in a proven and probable reserve categories, as well as about 4 billion pounds of lead and zinc combined. So it's been these projects were generated by our internal groups, and we're quite proud of our accomplishments.
Andy, could you discuss the overall business and mining environment in Peru? I know there's some challenges going on with the Santa Ana project, but the market seems to have missed the fact that Corani is well on track towards production.
Yeah, Corani is definitely on a very good path. The environmental impact statement was submitted in December of 2012 for Corani, and we've now scheduled our formal public audience, which is required for approval of the EIS. The meetings are scheduled for April 12th. And the situation at Corani is extremely distinct from what occurred at Santa Ana, which is a couple of 100 kilometers to the south. Corani enjoys a very, very sparse population. The watershed is on the east side of the Andes, so there are no downstream agricultural conflicts. The community support is outstanding, and we feel very confident going into the public hearings and also predicting that we will have the EIS approval by the end of 2013, if not sooner. The challenges at Santa Ana that you brought up, Jordan, are as a result of some regional protests that occurred back in 2011 during a presidential election year in Peru. The protests were thrown over a hydroelectric project, oil and gas, and mining, and Santa Ana became a sort of a front stage issue, and consequently, as a result of some protest, the previous Peruvian government took the steps of rescinding our rights to operate while we still own the claims. And we are in, I would call them, negotiations with the Peruvian government to recover those rights at Santa Ana. But as you say, meanwhile, Corani marches along just fine. I should also mention that when this occurred in 2011, the market reacted very quickly, and Santa Ana represents about 20% of the company's value, and the reaction wiped off perhaps 70% of our market capital. So there was a huge overreaction, and I think that was simply saying, okay, if it can happen at Santa Ana, then what about Corani, which we are now demonstrating is clearly not the case.
Andy, let's talk about the economics of the Corani project, because this to me, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but this looks like a really world-class deposit. There's seem to be, I mean, if this goes through to production as we expect, this would seem to be a major silver production project, globally speaking. And in addition, I mean, how does the current market environment affect the economics? I mean, given that we have metals prices, I guess, at the low end of their range of the past couple of years.
Well, yes, when we did our feasibility study in December of 2011, we used $18 silver and 85-cent lead and zinc. Today, while silver is backed off below $30, it's still quite higher than our feasibility base case study. In addition, lead and zinc are close to $1, and I think in the case of zinc, $1.10. So those two metals are also substantially higher. And I think what's also really important to understand about Corani, Corani will produce a lead-silver concentrate and a separate zinc concentrate beginning in 2015. Perhaps full-scale annual production in 2016. But these are years when lead zinc concentrates are going to be in short supply because of major lead and zinc mines either going into lower grade or entirely shut down. So there's a nice timing fit for Corani, and we've had a lot of interest from base metal smelters in Asia and Europe. Who would like to secure the concentrate stream coming out of Corani. The project's value is probably at today's prices 60% of the revenue is derived from silver, with the remaining 40% derived from lead and zinc. So doing a lead zinc offtake agreement leaves the silver totally unhedged or unleveraged, and the mine produces approximately 13.5 million ounces of silver per year for the first 5 years, and 8 million ounces for the per year average for the 20-year mine life. So it's a very, very robust silver producer in an asset whose size is extremely rare in today's environment. Multi-hundred million ounce silver reserves are extremely rare these days.
Can you take us through what Bear Creek needs to do before construction begins?
Sure, Jordan. The approval of the environmental impact statement is the master permit document, if you will. Its approval in late 2013 then kicks off a couple of following permits which are required. One is a water permit, and the other is a construction permit. I explained earlier the water situation we think is quite elegant because of our location on the east side of the Andes. So there are a couple of permits that will be required early in 2014. Now the company currently has about $70 million in cash. That's obviously not enough to build the Corani project, so we are looking at financial alternatives, the largest component of which will be lead and zinc offtake agreements, which we think will perhaps cover 40 to 50% of the capital required. So we're having financial engineering, if you can call it that, discussions right now. We expect those to evolve later in 2013. Once we have clarity on the permit issuance, we'll look at starting some lead time items, like putting in the electrical substation in the first half of 2014, completing the financing mid-2014. It will be comprised of some equity, but largely offtake, and construction approximately a year to a year and a half with 6 months of ramp up. So producing concentrates in the latter part of 2015 with full-scale commercial production in 2016.
Andy, let me just follow up on that. I mean, the fact that you guys have $70 million in cash, I mean, doesn't that give you a lot of flexibility as you go forward with the financing? I mean, in other words, I mean, you know, if the market happens to be at a major low here, I mean, that's my opinion. Of course, I could be wrong, but I mean, it seems like you guys have a lot of time where if we get a really good rebound in the market and your share price goes much higher, I mean, of course, it's a hypothetical, but I guess what I'm saying is, correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys have the ability to be flexible, and you don't have to raise money right away.
No, we are extremely flexible, Jordan. I think it's safe to say that we could make our current cash last as long as needed. If markets don't turn around for, you know, a couple of years, we are in a position. I mean, we can complete everything that we need to do, including ongoing exploration, without doing any financing until we make the decision to actually construct and go forward with Corani. So we do have a lot of flexibility, but I think that you know, the main objectives of this company are there are two ways that we can build share value back into our shares, and one is continue to remove permitting risk at Corani, make progress toward the recovery of Santa Ana, which we hope we will be able to do this year. And the third component that I think will help us is to articulate our financing strategy for a large capital build project. And as those things are completed, I think we will bring, you know, share value back in, so that when we do an equity raise, it will be done at a much more favorable platform with a much lower cost of capital and dilution.
Okay, Andy, now, before we close, do you want to comment on anything that we haven't already discussed?
Well, I think I would point out that I've worked in Peru for over 20 years now, and you know, it's a very, very mining-friendly country. The current challenges of this government with regards to community and social issues is being dealt with effectively. I'm convinced that President Humala will get through these situations. He's got a very, very strong cabinet who understand and believe in the need for continued foreign capital investment in Peru. And we hope to be one of the first projects that help them demonstrate that.
Okay, Andy, well, I thank you so much for giving us an introduction to Bear Creek. I really look forward to chatting again in the future as Bear Creek moves through the permitting stages, and all the best to you guys, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Well, thank you very much, Jordan, and to your readers for your interest.